So you've rolled it out. I assume you started with Kashmir, maybe as school number 1, and now you're at 266. Like, put on your software company hat, how did that rollout look? What did you discover in that process? How does it connect to, the overall goals? Those kinds of questions.
No, I mean, it has definitely been, a journey of ups and downs. I think that the messaging and how you bring people along was probably one of the biggest learning lessons. Kind of out of the classroom with Kashmir, I'm like, we have to just destroy this whole system and rebuild it and whatever. And I was like, you know what? Calm down. It's just like there is so much good work happening. Yeah. I mean, I really honor a lot of the service providers. And to your point, Mark, when you said optimizing, I think that nonprofits are really doing the best that they can. And I really think, I mean, the dollars spent are very well spent. But if we can even make it go further and more, and I mean, why not? I mean, so one of the journey is as we were pivoting, right? When we first started, we started by, thinking about what this would look like. We built it in spreadsheets first and whatever the case is. But the pivot and the change that we were kind of going through, I guess part of the challenge was we couldn't keep up with communicating our change. Right. So some people still think that we're what we were when we were in the Kashmir feeder. Right. Versus now where, Purple Sense and evolved and what we were thinking, our work with service providers at the beginning and where we intend for that to be and go. So I think that is a big challenge for companies. Right. Is you're almost encouraged to continue to pivot. Right. And really learn from your clients and students and your stakeholders. But at the same time, there's a penalization, right? Because it's well, I thought you were doing this. Now you're doing that.
Kind of the flip-flop thing that we get in politics?
Exactly. Okay. It's well, I thought you were focused. It's well, yes, you learn, you evolve. And you really cannot blame me for what I was 10 seconds ago. That's the beauty and the freedom of living in the moment, right? It's well, I'm this now, so it's okay.
Okay, so you're in 266 schools. What's next?
I don't know.
The world. No, I'm just
I don't know. So from the 288 schools, we do have a 3-year strategic plan where we want to be in about 500 schools. Very focused on Houston. I'll tell you this. If we are able to change this in Houston, the 4th largest city in the country.
And the most diverse.
City.
And the best.
I'm good heading to the crematory, you know? I mean, it's that's a dent. Sometimes I'm not excited by growth as much as I'm excited by kind of finding what I call our flywheel. The name, I mean, I'm blanking on who kind of came up with, I think Jim Collins.
Good to Great, yeah.
Good to Great, right? Mm-hmm. And it is not necessarily knowing, but finding. I'm obsessed with finding. Kind of when you kind of have companies that are what do you want to be? And they're well, let's come up with our value. I don't think you can come up with your values or where you want. I think you can find. And that's the journey that I as I think about this whole thing. It was a journey of finding. And yes, in hindsight, I can say it. I was here, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. But it was a lot of finding, right? And when you're and so when you ask me what's next, I want to focus on the flywheel piece for a reason is when we really find our flywheel, and the idea of a flywheel is you're pushing this really heavy marble rock, whatever that is, suspended on water, so you can actually move it. And you're pushing, and then suddenly it starts moving, right? And then you kind of tap it a little bit, and it moves faster.
Yeah.
Right. And it's and so you're not working as hard to kind of expand, and so that's what I'm really focused on, right?
Sure.
Yes, we want to be in 500 schools. Yes, we want to, But what I'm more focused on is kind of refining and continuing to find elements of our flywheel, so that then all we have to do is tap a little bit more and impact more kids.
Right. Yeah. So it's creating a self-sustaining system that you only need to make small improvements on over time.
That's exactly.
Wow.
Or maybe, and what I heard, and a little bit different, but when you build a good product, the product can really help the growth, right?
Yeah.
So if you focus on that fundamental problem, then, you know, leaping from one school district to another school district isn't as difficult, or one school to another school in a neighboring.
Right.